Hi everybody, welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm working again, guess what, in the Outlander coloring book. Starting this page here of The Gathering, and I'm gonna talk to you about how I want to work with items and stuff on this page, what I want to accomplish. I'm using Prismacolor pencils, so colored pencils. And I'm also talking to you about skin tones and reflections of light sources that are off screen or off the page in this case. So I hope you enjoy. So here we go. Time to color this page. I have decided to go with Prismacolor pencils. They work a little differently than my Polychromos pencils, and I thought, well, let's give it a go because this is a very busy, very full page, and there's a lot of tiny details that have to be colored, and layering is a little more difficult maybe than just blending pencil colors, pigment together. So I'm gonna go with the Polychromos, but this is gonna be a long page because, again, colored pencils are the slowest medium. And, well, there's just a lot to be colored. The story for this particular page goes as follows. There was a massive shout from the floor below, an outbreak of skirling pipes, and the solemn scene dissolved into a heaving surge of riotous yelling. An even louder shout greeted the tubs of ale and whiskey that now appeared on trestles, accompanied by platter of steaming oatcakes, haggis, and meat. So we are still at the gathering in the story, and well, there's lots of people there. Colum, I'd say, Dougal, Hamish, Mrs. Fitz, and all the others could be anybody. There could be Jamie, maybe. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, why not? I could color him like Jamie just to have him in the picture. And I'm gonna start with the foreground, so all the people and the table today. Usually I go with the background first, but I think I like to do the people first. I don't know exactly why. Probably because, well, I just want things to get done and don't really know yet what color I'm gonna go for when it comes to the background. I mean, the browns and grays are a set thing for the wall. My voice. I do have a frog in my throat. Hold on. There we go. Ish. But I don't know what I want to use as a color for the curtains, so I'm going to go with things that I know just to get started. And before I start, I'm going to zoom you in because these are tiny bits and pieces, and I think it's easier for you to see if I zoom you in a little. So we'll do something maybe like this. And start on the upper right-hand side of the page because I'm left-handed, in case you're new to the channel. By the way, welcome. And you don't know, I'm left-handed, so I do go with the direction top to bottom, right to left. So I'm having a few skin tones here, maybe. Yeah. They're kind of spread out on 3 palettes. So I'm gonna go with this one here. Let's see, that should be the 3rd pencil. Is it? Yes, it is, and it is beige. Yeah, that fits quite perfectly. There is no visible light source on the page except for the candles. Can you see them? No, because there, except for the candles. So I have to go with making up a light source. But I'm gonna get my pencils first. This one is light peach. I want that. I want the other two skin tone looking pencils. There's, well, peach and seashell pink. So I think those will fit well for skin tones. I'm gonna just start with having my page in the frame and going for the face of this dude here. And I think I'm gonna just shade to the right. This is something that I like to do when I don't have a particular light source visible that kind of directs me into how to shade. I kind of just like to shade towards the right. Probably because I'm left-handed. I don't know. That would actually be something quite interesting. If you're not left-handed, I would love for you to tell me, is there a particular side you like to shade towards? And if so, is it maybe the left? I need a little bit of a darker color, because this is too bright for me still, and I'm gonna go with 1034. That is goldenrod. I actually really like that pencil a lot. I like the pigment of it. So I'm just gonna go on top. Since these are quite the small figures, now I have to think which one. I think this one was the grayish tone that I used. Yeah. These are quite the small figures on the page, so there's not a lot of detail I can put in. However, I can add a little bit of shading and such, but not to the extent as I did on other pages, where there was like one page where there was Claire and Jamie in front of a fireplace. The whole picture was just the two of them, so I could add way more detail into that picture. I'm not gonna do so on this one, just because this is way smaller and there's, well, a little less detail that I'm able to put in, and also that you're able to see, because I think even with lots of candles and candelabras and such, the big hall in Castle Lear is not the best lit place, especially at nighttime, and the gathering is at nighttime, or the dinner feast is at nighttime. So I think there's since there's not a lot of light, you can see a lot of details, so I can work a little quicker, though these are portraits or people and they just take their time to be colored and shaded. It might be a little quicker because it is small objects and not well lit. So I'm just going in one by one by one by one and coloring all the skin tones first. I'm gonna jump around the page a little bit. Am I still in frame? Yeah, I really have to make sure that I stay in frame when you're zoomed in so much. If I happen to forget along the way, sorry about that. I'm really trying. But sometimes I forget that I do have a camera overhead. So let's go to her and change up skin tones a bit. I'm again starting with the light one. And by the way, all the pencils that I'm using today will be listed on my blog, so you don't have to write them down in case you like a color combo. You can just read up on that later on today. So 10 a.m. Central European Standard Time. You can read up on that. But I'm gonna name pencils throughout the video too, every so often. So I'm going with the darker pink with the peach color for her instead of the, what did I use before? The seashell pink, which had kind of like a grayish tint to it. I'm going way pinker on her. Just to have a little variation in skin color. And, well, just to make it interesting. And I think the ladies are a little more reddish and flushed because they're working hard. And the guys do maybe have a little more of a yellowish tint because, well, they might be a little more sunburned from working out and about. And you can see here that with the Prismacolor pencils, I can just move pigment one into the other instead of having to layer it like I have to do with the polychromos. And that saves me a little time. I do like the color palette of the polychromos better than the Prismacolors, but when it comes to work speed and what a pencil can do, I do definitely prefer the Prismacolors because they're so creamy that you can really move the pigment into the other one and have a very soft surface, just like on the hand, for example. So now we get to Column. He's maybe not looking that well today, because in the story he had a couple of, well, not so great days before the gathering. So I'm gonna have him be maybe a little paler, a little more grayish. And instead of using this seashell pink as a shading color like I did with the two dudes before, I'm gonna use it as the main color. And go on top with goldenrod. Give him a little more of a yellowish tint. There's maybe a fireplace to the right of the page, like off frame. And that gives him a little bit of a glow here. Next up is his hand, 'cause he's got one. Probably holding a glass of the very famous Rhenish. I did very much like this scene in the show. In case you haven't seen it, I really can only recommend to watch that show. It's very well done, and the gathering is depicted very well too. So I really liked it. The way, that's the trouble with polychromos. Their lead breaks so fast. I do have a couple of pencils, and again the lead has broken. This is something I do not like about those pencils, I have to say. And it breaks a second time. This is annoying, to say the least. And that's very often discourages me to use those pencils, because I'm pretty much coloring one bit and then sharpening through like half the pencil, which is not something I like. There we go. It's like a third of the pencil gone just to get a decent tip again. Again, something I don't like about them. And honestly, that when I choose my pencils, very often I just go for the polychromos because I know I don't have to deal with breakage. And I'm gonna go for Mr. Column here. Let's go for a little beige. He's a little more flushed. He looks way more healthy than Column does. So just gonna change up the pencil there, like for the base coat. Maybe I should give that lady here a little goldenrod too, because it could come from a fire place or a big candelabra or something nearby. So let's give her a little bit of a yellow on her skin as well. Can't, oh no, there we can see his hand. Oh, he's really tilting that glass. Should be careful that he's not losing the Rhenish or the whiskey, whatever he's drinking. Guess Column is a little more of a whiskey guy. There we go. Let's say this is Jamie, so I'm gonna give him, since he's a redhead, he's gonna have a little more of a paler skin, a little more rose shade rather than the yellows that I used for the other dudes. But I'm still gonna layer beige on top and also the goldenrod. So I'm giving him a little more of a younger, fairer skin, because a lot of gingers just to have very, very light skin. And he could be one of them. And we see only one hand of his. And then that fella back there gets the seashell pink treatment, so he's also a little more on the grayish part. But I'm gonna layer the peach on top, which gives him a little more of a reddish tone again. And that was my dishwasher. Because it's early in the morning. We have just finished breakfast in form of my ever so lovely fruit and vegetable juice, and all that stuff has gone to the dishwasher right away. And now it's done and cleaned. Yay! Damn, now I forgot which pencil I had used on him. I think it was the seashell. Yep. And then we do have a little kiddo here, and I'm gonna use the same shades I used for the lady. So we got the light peach, also on his hand, and of course the normal peach color, so the quite rosy shade. And he's just gonna get a smidge of the goldenrod, not too much, just a little bit, to indicate, okay, he's also having reflections from the fireplace or whatever. on his skin. Just very little. So the whole upper row of people is almost done. I will go for the lady's lips with the same peach I used on her for shading, and maybe a little darker. This one here. And this is called Nectar. Fits with her lips. Just putting that in, but for the guys, I'm only go with the darker peach shade, not to have it too pink looking, but still indicate, okay, they've got lips too. So all of these are done with the skin tone, but there's Mrs. Fitz. And Mrs. Fitz, guess she does get the same color scheme than the lady in the back did. But since she's pretty much focal point, she has a little wider line work. So she is in the foreground for one, which lets you as the viewer see more detail. I'm gonna give her a little more shading and such. Just to, well, move her into the foreground with the color as well, not only with the line work that is given by the illustrator, but also with the colors. So she's a little more quote-unquote finished in the way she's being colored. So going in with the pink, like the peach color, that was what it is called. In the show she was quite wrinkly and old, so I'm not sure yet which description I'm gonna go with to color her hair, for example. She was quite gray, almost white in the show, but I think she's just a little younger in the book, at least from the description. So I'm not sure yet which one I'm gonna go with. You can see I'm using the nectar, the nectar pencil also on her skin, which I didn't do on anybody in the background, or the midground better said. But since she's the focal point here, I'm gonna add a few more shades to her skin than I did for the people in the back. And the same, of course, on the arms. So going in with the peach pencil first. And then adding a tiny bit of the nectar pencil. And the same on the other hand. Like so, and now I'm gonna layer the goldenrod on top for a little bit of fireplace reflection. And I'm using a very light touch on my hand, just to add a tiny little bit of pigment, because again, like I said earlier, those pencils are very creamy and they lay down on paper very well. So you don't need to have a lot of pressure to color with the Prismacolors and, well, get a nice coverage. Okay, then on to Hamish. I'm coloring him the same way as I did the other kid, so the light peach, and the peach pencil. And just a smidge of goldenrod to have the fireplace light. And that is all the skin tones colored. And now I will go back to the top of the page and go with hair. 3 of the people look like they wear wigs. So him here, him And also him. I think that is wigs, because they do have the very neat curls on the on both of the sides. I'm sorry. Oh boy. And so I'm gonna go with gray shades, a little more cooler in tint, because Gollum, not Gollum, haha, wrong universe, Column has gray hair too, but natural gray hair, so I'm gonna give him more of a warmer gray shade kind of hair. And for the dudes, I'm gonna go with the 1050, which is a warm gray too. No. I'm gonna have to go with a 1051 maybe. I need the cool gray. Oh, they look quite greenish in the tin. So I'm gonna go with 20% cool gray, so that's the 1060. And I'm gonna layer the 50% on top, which is this one here. And of course I'm gonna add a little more of the goldenrod to indicate the fireplace reflection. But first, it's all about just shading the wig itself. And then adding a little bit of yellow, or goldenrod, better said, just very, very little. It's kind of like a reflection or a tint there. And exactly the same colors for the next guy. And just a smidge of goldenrod. And the third person is on the left-hand side of the page. And for him, of course, there's also going to be a little bit of goldenrod here. And I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. And then I'm going to color the hair of the rest of the people on this page. Because from what I see, all the other people do have natural hair. So I can go into grays and browns and reds and such. But first, a cup of tea. There we go, I've got my tea. All right, so I wanted to go on with hair, and I'm thinking I'm going a little brown, up on the browner shades for Dougal and whomever this is, and with a warm gray for Column. So let's go with French Gray 90 for her. Oh, whom is that from? That's the dude. There's a little more curly stuff from the dude. And also going to add a little bit of the goldenrod just to fill in the bits between the curls, and there's a little, well, warm reflection and such for her dark curls. For Column, I'm gonna go with light warm grays, so I'm taking warm gray 10%. And then I'm gonna go darker with 30% warm gray. Just speckle it throughout the beard. Then I'm going even a little darker for the line work, which I'm going to use the 50% gray for, just to go over some of the line work here. And of course, the good old goldenrod for some of the lighter parts here. And then I can move on to Column. And I'm going to use the French Gray 50% for him. It's quite the brownish tone. It has way more brown than blue in it, because these two colors make gray. I'm gonna add some of the 90% French gray to his hair as well. Also to the beard, of course. But I'm gonna go in with the warm gray, with the lighter one that the mid-tone one that I used for Colum's beard. Gonna go in with that as well, so giving him a little more of a warmer grayish tint. And of course, goldenrod. Just a little bit here on the tips of the curls. And a smidge on his beard. Oh, and I just realized I forgot a hand when coloring. So, let's see, I think he had seashell. And the darker pink, the peach pencil pretty much. And of course, just to make it all look even, a little bit of the goldenrod. There we go. So all the hair in the back is colored, and I can look for Jamie's hair for shades I want to use. I'm liking the 1033. Uh, 1033, which is mineral orange, and I'm going a little more towards the warmer shades with the brown. Which one do I like? I like the 945, which is sienna brown, and I could go with a 90% French gray on top if I need it, but I'm gonna go with the two pencils first. You will probably be able to hear quite a bit of outside noise today, because there's birds chirping and neighbors talking, and I don't think I can edit it all out. And that is because, well, it's Whit Monday, so it's a public holiday, everybody's home. And I do have Sebastian at my house. He's currently on the patio studying for university while I'm working. I do subsequently have the patio door open, so you will hear a little bit of outside noise, I guess. I'm definitely gonna add a little of that 90% French gray. Then going on top with my mineral orange again, just to really make him pop when it comes to the ginger. There we go, there we got Jamie, and then I'm gonna go with the brown tone, the sienna brown that I used on him. I'm gonna use that as my base color for the boy next to him. And I forgot to put a little goldenrod on Jamie, just here on that side, on the front curls. And I'm gonna work on with the 90% French gray to shade the curls of the little boy. And then on to Mrs. Fitz. So I think I'm gonna go with the show. So I'm gonna give her the warm gray. And that is also repeating colors from Column. And as you know, if you watched me for a while, I very much like color repetition in my artwork, or as other artists call it, recycle colors in several places on your picture. And I really like that because it makes for a very, very harmonic and quiet and calm kind of picture. And even though you use a lot of colors, the page doesn't look too busy. If if you know what I mean. So she's gonna have a bit of that very dark warm gray, few reflections with the goldenrod. And there Mrs. Fitz has her hair. And we can go on to Hamish. Hamish actually is, spoiler alert if you haven't read the books or haven't seen the show, he's actually Colum's son. Though officially he is no, he's officially Colum's son, but he's actually Dougal's son. So I need a little more for warm gray. No, I don't. So I'm gonna use Colum's hair, Dougal's hair color for him. So going with French gray again. And just a smidge of the goldenrod to, again, have fireplace or candles reflecting. And there we got all the hair. And I think I can move on to clothes. This is all the pencils I used for skin and hair. Let's see. Most of the guys, no, all of the guys do wear these kind of things around their neck. Yeah, that's a word, I guess. So I'm gonna use my beige pencil for that and shade it with a warm gray. Maybe, yeah, the French gray, with the lightest tone of French gray. But first I gotta start my vlogging camera and also sharpen my pencils. Because they're a little dull. Again, those Prismacolor pencils are very creamy, so you go through them quite a bit. Which means you want to sharpen them a little more frequently. But let's go with that beige. And though I used it as part of the skin tones, it really looks very different because of a different kind of shading color on top. So you can also recycle colors that way, not only throughout the picture, but just when you combine them in a different way, you get a different kind of look, but the brain, or the eyes and the brain in combination, they do recognize the color and see that, or recognize that you use it somewhere else on your picture, and that makes for a calmer look. The brain really is a wonderful organ that way. It really does some magic there. Which I think is a wonderful thing. Thank you, body. Thank you, humanity. Thank you, evolution. Thank you, nature. Another thing is that I realized that I'm about an hour in when it comes to work time. I know that the number on my camera is a little higher, but I had to take a break to pee and make a tea and all of that. So I'm about an hour thing in, I guess. And it feels like I got accomplished more already when it comes to the coloring as if I would have when coloring with polychromos, because those pencils here, those Prismacolor pencils are so creamy that you have to work a little less when it comes to getting rid of all the white bits and spots on paper. Also, this paper is quite smooth, so it feels a little faster than would I have worked with the polychromos, just by the way those pencils are designed. It's not a different way of coloring that makes it feel a little faster. I mean, subsequently I color a little differently, and that, well, makes it faster too. But it mainly feels faster because I don't have to go over things 500 times to get rid of the white spots. They're really, really creamy and work perfectly on very smooth paper to pretty much get things colored with maybe only 4 layers. Something I like a lot. I think if you would combine the quality of polychromos with the creaminess of the Prismacolors, these would be my all-time favorite pencils. I mean, the polychromos are, and I don't mind having to work a little more with them. But I would actually enjoy a pencil even more that comes with the creamy quality of the words. of the Prismacolors, and now I'm looking for a pencil to use on my on the hats of the girls, and I'm thinking the 1068 and the 1069 for shading. 1069, there we go. Let's start with a light color. It's again a French gray, but very, very light, as you can see here. It's almost more like a beige tone or a cream color. I'm looking for my French gray 30%. That's one gray. Oh, it's still in the box. Because I want to go a little darker here. Just bring in some of the line work. That's for her, and I think her scarf or whatever it is that she has tucked into her bodice is gonna be the same color. So I'm having the French grays 10, 20, and 30%. 10 for the base coat, 20 for shading, 30 for enhancing line work. And of course, a little bit of the goldenrod on her hat. And also on a few bits of her, I'm gonna call it a scarf. Same goes for Mrs. Fitz. I'm gonna use exactly the same colors for her head. Hat, not head. With a T, not with a D. Again, 20% for shading. And 30% for doing a little bit of extra on the line work here. There we go. I'm not gonna color the eyes of the people with colored pencils. I'm gonna go with gel pens on that. But after a sip of tea, I can color her scarf. And of course, towards the right hand side, a little bit of the goldenrod. Okay, enough for the vlog. Now, since I do have that light cream color combination, I'm gonna look around the page and see where there are clothes where I like to do the same thing. Go with the same color combo. Maybe for the shirts for the guys. So let's go one by one and move my pencils a bit. Hold on. So, bit by bit, he doesn't have a shirt tucking out. He kinda does. So I'm gonna make it a shirt. With her, I got all the things colored. With him, he has a shirt here. And I'm using only the 10% French gray and the 30% French gray for the guys. A little bit of yellow. Oh, there's another hand for column. Let's get that out of the way very fast. The seashell color. And the goldenrod. But we don't, oh no, we see a little bit of the shirt for him down here. Anything else on him? No, I don't think so. So on to Dougal. Dougal's shirt is visible. I think there's a little bit of his arm or something back here. So let's just give it a bit of a flesh tone with goldenrod. The other hand, there's also the shirt visible. With him, that's no shirt, there's nothing on this hand. Jamie, this hand, there's nothing, but we can see shirt sleeves up here. So I'm going in with my light warm gray, French gray, and doing the shading again. And there's just a little bit of goldenrod on the top of his shirt. We can't see any shirt with him, so I can move down to Mrs. Fitz, and we can see Mrs. Fitz's shirt, like she's having a full bodice and such, but I'm not gonna go for the cream with her because I do have that shade on her scarf and on her hat. But maybe the apron. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the apron for that. And it is it underneath? No, it's not underneath. Hold on. So there's the bodice. There's the shirt underneath that also has the sleeves. So all of this would be the same color, and it looks like she's having the shirt like on top, but I'm gonna make it a separate apron and not connect the bodice or the shirt underneath the bodice with the apron, because this is not the style or the way people clothed back in the day. You can really hear my neighbors today on the video. So that's one of my very lovely neighbors. She's a very nice lady. But you can probably hear her talking. So for the apron, I'm also gonna use the 20% gray again. And not color it the way I colored the guy's shirt sleeves. So first the 10%, now comes the 20%. Just really shading all the folds of that fabric here. Now I'm gonna bring in the 30% French gray, and I'm just gonna shade it a little more and also just follow the lines of the illustrator and put in a little dark gray there, just well, to bring the apron to life. I mean, Mrs. Fitz does too, because she's, well, in the apron. There's gonna be a little bit of detail here. And of course, I'm gonna have a little bit of goldenrod just to have reflections from the fireplace or whatever. And then I can move on to Hamish. So I'm taking away the 20%. Again, do we see a shirt? No, we don't see a shirt with him. There is no shirt. So I can actually put those pencils away, take another sip of tea, and think about what I want to color next. Because I only got about 20 minutes to go. What do I want to color? Alright, so I think I'm gonna color the drinks in the glass. And I do think it's Rhenish, because it's only 3 people drinking. But I'm only gonna color the liquid for now, because anything with the glass I'm gonna color once I do have, oh, it's 4 people. Once I do have stuff colored that is behind the glass, and only then I'm not gonna shade the glasses. But the Rhenish is a very light rose-colored wine, and I'm taking rosy beige, but I'm also adding a little bit of my goldenrod on top. In this picture, pretty much the goldenrod is my dark indigo from other pictures, so because I have a lot of reflections and such from the fireplaces and the candles and such. I'm gonna use quite a bit of goldenrod in this particular picture. And if you have a pencil with you that pretty much goes somewhere on pretty much anything, depends on what you're coloring or what you're drawing. So it's not in every picture, but it is in these. Maybe I can go for the jar there, and I'm thinking the 1033 maybe. I already used that. Yeah, I think it's the orange. I used that on Jamie. So I'm gonna again recycle that color somewhere else. In this case, the jar. So I'm just gonna color little objects around the page now for the rest of the video, and I'm gonna get back to the clothes in the next video, because I don't want to stop. Oh, there's another hand. I don't want to stop halfway through the page. And like on a through, no, not halfway through the page. That was wrong. Halfway through the clothing of one person. So I'm gonna save that for next video, and I think that's gonna be the main topic for next video, for the next video for me, to get the clothes colored of as many people as possible. So I'm gonna add a little more of a darker shade too. I actually like the color combo in Jamie's hair, so I'm gonna use the same sienna brown to shade this jar. I'm also gonna add a little bit of goldenrod just to have it in there. Let's look at the clock. I think one more item. Maybe the bottle of the Rhenish. Again, I'm not gonna color the glass itself where things are see-through, like this section here. Not gonna do that for now. That will be an issue or a thing when here it is, when I know what the color behind will be. So if Column is gonna wear a brown coat or a gray one or a green one, that's when I'm gonna color the glass. And how do you know it's summertime? Because you do have flies in your apartment. Because I have the patio door open. And then I need a color. You are a really big fly. I need a color for the top of the bottle, and I do like this one here, the 942, which is yellow ochre. I'm gonna shade that with the 90% French gray. And of course, there's gonna be a little bit of goldenrod visible. I'm not gonna add that color to the clear section yet. Again, I'm gonna do so once I have the background color in. But yeah, that would be it for now. Let me zoom you out a bit so that you could see what the picture looks like in total. There we go. This is how far we got this week. It looks like nothing, but it feels very far ahead already and having lots of things done. So I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Again, all the pencils that I used today will be listed on my blog. You can hop on over to pinselgeschichten.de, enter the name of the video in case you're watching this a little later and this is not the top post on the blog. You can find this coloring page in no time if you just enter the video name. And if you liked this video, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and like what you see, for one, thank you very much for watching. Also, peruse the channel. There's lots of playlists for art videos, coloring videos, board game videos, vlogs, MS videos, all the things. And I would love to see you again next Thursday. Take good care, have fun, do some coloring, and if you happen to color this page and happen to be on Instagram, I would love for you to post it and tag me there so I can see. And I'm gonna see you very soon. Have fun. Bye bye.